I'm Tamara Thomas, editor-in-chief of UrbanHealthToday.com, part of the DocWire family of medical news sites, and I want to thank you for tuning in to Urban Health Weekly. Our goal each week is to keep you informed of the latest in health and medical news right from today's headlines. It's time to empower yourself with open conversations about your medical care with news that matters to you. So are you ready? Let's get started. And we're back. And so now let's talk about what set this whole thing off to begin with, alopecia. Okay. About a third of women will suffer some form of hair loss in their lives, according to Harvard Medical School. And a peer-reviewed study published in 2018 found that Black and Hispanic women in the US have a significantly greater chance of developing alopecia areata, the medical term for the autoimmune disorder Jada Pinkett Smith has in their lifetime, than white women. MD has a page on the 5 main types of alopecia, though. There's androgenic alopecia, also known as male or female pattern hair loss, because there's a pattern to how the hair loss goes. Alopecia areata, which is also known as patchy baldness, and the patches can show up anywhere on your body, but the American Academy of Dermatology says that many people get round or oval patches on the scalp. So that's the one that Jada Pinkett Smith has. And again, that's an autoimmune condition. There's alopecia totalis, and this is a type of alopecia areata that makes you lose all of the hair on your scalp. Then there's the most popular one, traction alopecia, which is caused by putting stress on the hair through repeated pulling or stretching. Most Black and Latin women will be familiar with this one because it's brought on by tight ponytails, cornrows, or hair extensions like weaves and braids. Oddly enough, I have the androgenic alopecia, but my androgenic alopecia was accelerated by my traction alopecia. So what happened is I had cut off all of my relaxed hair because I wanted to go natural. And the hairstylist, she would cornrow my hair, and I had her make a wig and stuff like that for me. So I just wore my hair cornrowed, so I didn't have to think about my hair, and I would just wash it and keep moving. And I started to notice little by little that the part down the center of my head was getting wider. And I would ask her about it. I'm like, does my part look wider to you? And she would act like nothing, like it was my imagination, that she didn't see anything. Yeah, such a betrayal. So then finally, I just stopped going to her. What I didn't know that was my temples were also starting to thin. But what she was doing is she was taking like that filler hair, you know, the hair you use to make extensions. And she was filling in the lost hair there with hair extensions. So I couldn't tell the difference. And it wasn't until I unbraided my hair and I said, I'm just going to do this myself because I don't know, I don't trust her anymore for some reason. And I noticed that I had lost all of this hair. I was like, oh my God, where did my hair go? So I got a lot of it back through just low tension styles and changing my nutrition and stuff like that. But it's still not where I feel comfortable with it. So
can you tell me about how is the pattern on female androgenic? What does that look like? Because I think that maybe that's what I have.
So with androgenic female pattern baldness, you get the temples. The temples start going back, kind of like how the very, very, very beginnings of male pattern baldness. And then sometimes you get the part in the middle starts getting a little wider. It doesn't really go much further than that. I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
I think that's what I have, because I have scar tissue too, because I had like a lump removed from the top of my head, but my forehead has been getting higher and higher.
Yeah, you go from a forehead to a 5-head. Yeah, exactly.
I got like a 7-head now. My son was laughing at me the other day because I measured with my fingers. It might be a 5-head. It's probably a 5-head now. Yeah, that's what I think I have. Between the 5 and 6 head. But yeah, my kid was laughing at me.
Banks coined that one because she has she's famous for like her really wide forehead. You know, she's got that big.
I don't know. I thought it was a sign of my getting smarter, my forehead.
They did used to associate a high forehead with intellectuality.
Yeah.
So, maybe.
But then it became a term to track how much your hairline went back, and then your hairline goes back a little bit. It starts to get thin in that front. You know, some people have it more noticeably than others. but that's what it is your temples start kind of, and it's not a full loss like how men just like lose their hair altogether. Like male pattern is like, you know, it starts going all the way back, and the back of the head opens up and all of that, and everything.
You lose from the crown as well.
Yes. So it meets in the middle, and then the crown just goes. You see a lot of guys with that comb over is because what happens is the hair starts meeting, the front and the back of the head start meeting and come together at the top of the head. With women, it looks like just sparse hair in that area. You don't get full bald, you get sparseness, because the hair follicle is just kind of thin, and it's just not as thick as it used to be. So a lot of women don't really notice it for many, many years until it gets really pronounced. And then the final of the 5, there are a few more, but these are the main ones. It's called cicatricial.
That's the scar tissue. Is that it?
CCA, yeah, that's the scarring type. It involves inflammation that destroys hair follicles, and then the destroyed follicles get replaced by scar tissue, resulting in permanent hair loss in the area. And sometimes you get itching and pain and like a sensation in the head.
I have that right at that spot where I had a lump removed from my melon, and they did it like right like on my forehead, and that is like kind of thick, and so that's probably what I have in that one spot. Okay. Well, will wig wearing do a little bit of traction alopecia or aggravate?
Well, when I got diagnosed, I spoke to the doctor, and the doctor said that this was Dr. Rappaport in New Jersey. And he said that any kind of friction, whether it's like a headscarf or a wig, anything, any kind of friction is going to increase your likelihood of hair loss in that area.
All right.
Yeah, but what can you do? It's a cycle, because you don't want to show your hair because it's thin, but then you cover it, and then you're not really. So it's a vicious cycle. You know, you don't want to show it. So it's like, what do you do, right? Well, anyway, I'm going to be doing something about mine, but that's coming to a theater near you. We'll talk about that as I get closer to the event.
All right. Well, I'll talk about my experience.
Yes, please talk about your experience with male pattern baldness.
Well, you know,
hey, we all have something in common.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I noticed that this thing just keeps getting thinner and thinner. I tried the comb over. I tried to let it grow long.
You did a comb over?
Well, I tried it for I would say for like one haircut. See how that
I have
works.
to see pictures.
I hated it. Well, my hair was naturally curly. Once it gets over an inch, it turns curly. I look like the dad at the Brady Bunch or something. It just had to go.
Awesome.
With men, there's so many, like, you know, I'll start.
How do you do a comb over with curly hair?
Yeah, but you know what? There's Yul Brenner, there's Luke Picard, there's
oh my gosh, those are just the most handsome men.
All these cool bald dudes.
There are a lot of cool bald dudes. That's true.
Exactly. Samuel L. Jackson sometimes is bald. So, you know,
I think he's bald all the time now.
Yeah, well, he used to have this giant afro, but now he's gotten like from one extreme to the other. So I just decided, you know what? Let me just do it, and I got rid of it, and I haven't looked back over the last. I would say it's been about 15 years now that I've had no hair.
Wow.
And I'm glad. It's a lot less. It's a lot less stressful worrying about what part is doing and how to manage it and getting the left side, go to the right side. And what hole is there now and all that damn thing and
that's just the part you see, because you still have that thing that you still have the opening in the back. That's
I sometimes I miss the back, or you know, I
there's
don't
not enough
like,
to
I don't want to look like Carly.
It just needs to be in the area that you can see the hair and you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah, I'll look like Uncle Fester, but not Carly in the Three Stooges. You know what I mean? It's like I don't mind the cue ball. I don't mind a little bit of fuzz on it. You know.
You know what I'll do sometimes for my hair is I'll use like the like this powerful gel, styling gel, and then I'll like smush my hair, my edges down so that it looks like baby hair, and do it that way. It's a lot of work, though. It's a lot of work, a lot of
there's something to be
maintenance.
That's
said
why I
about
love a
it,
wig. It's
that
so
Yeah.
much less work.
covering
easy,
and
yeah.
if you keep it covered all the time, it just doesn't breathe. It just doesn't get the light.
Yeah, there is something to that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
that's okay. I'm covering mine.
Me
Hey,
too.
did you know that Asian men are suffering from alopecia? This is a new phenomenon because historically Asian men have experienced like the lowest incidence of hair loss in the world. But that
Really?
oh yes, that's a trend that's
very
changing.
much, and it
So,
takes a long
A
time. to improve.
50,000 person survey by the China Association of Health Promotion and Education reportedly found that the country's 30-somethings were going bald faster than any other group. Almost a third of respondents who were born in or after 1990 reported thinning hair, according to Chinese state media. A similar poll by Beijing's prestigious Tsinghua University, is it Tsinghua? Tsinghua University reportedly found that an astonishing 60% of students had experienced some degree of hair loss. Stress, poor diet, lack of sleep, and smoking can all contribute to hair loss. And lifestyles in China are changing dramatically in recent decades, so the country's hairlines are changing with it. Chinese state broadcaster CGTN went so far as to describe hair loss among the young as an epidemic. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. So yeah, I'd be curious to know what was the diet and environment like before all this started, and like let's do what they were doing before they changed their diet and environment. I'd be curious
I hate to say, but I really think
Western diet.
Western diet. That's exactly
Western
right.
diet, Western
Supporting
lifestyle.
Western lifestyle. That's
I
right.
think it's the preponderance of beef. You know, you get more
Yes.
hormones.
Yep.
I mean, it's a theory.
I definitely
Oh,
think
that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's the hormones.
Yeah,
that are
I
affecting
Hormones in
definitely
the
think
meat
there's something to that.
industry.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, they're a big importer of our beef.
Yeah.
And
I wonder how much endocrine disruptors have to do with everything, just in
well, it's
general.
all.
environment.
If you've got stress, if you've got poor diet, if you've got lack of sleep, your circadian rhythm is off. All of those things are endocrine disruptors because all of those things are regulated by your hormones. And if you're disrupting all of those things, then you're going to be disrupting the hair, the hair growth cycle as well.
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, is the diet, because the diet in Asia has changed.
Yes.
And more, it's moving towards a Western diet,
Yes.
not the other way around.
Right.
The Eastern diet is not coming this way. The Western diet is going that way.
Yeah.
Also, these societies or these Asian communities have gone from mostly agrarian communities to 24-hour, hustle bustle.
Yep.
I'm Hong Kong, I'm the hub of the world type of thing. Where before in Asia, the only place really that was the hub was Singapore, the traditional Singapore. Now it's Hong Kong, Beijing, all these places, Tokyo to an extent. And the type of positions they have are no longer agrarian positions or agricultural positions or fishing or things that they used to do.
Yes.
Now they've
No
become
longer.
more and more, hustle bustle. You got to report to
Fast food.
There's this
take
fast
out.
food. Go to college.
Yeah.
And from going from craftsmen and tradesmen to businessmen.
Yeah.
There's this whole new layer of stress.
Yeah.
So is it stress? Is it diet? Is it a combination of the two?
It's all three. It's all three. But the reason it's such a big deal there, and they're studying it, which unlike here, they're studying there, is because this is a culture that never had to embrace baldness because it's just not something they had to deal with. Like, Lou was talking about, we had Tully Savalas.
We've had great, like, dynamic leading men.
Right. Yeah, remember Jeffrey Holder, the 7-Up guy?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, so awesome, yeah.
Mr. Clean, Grace Jones, now Representative Ayanna Pressley.
Mhm.
Their idols, they don't have bald idols to look up to say, you know what, I'm gonna shave my head too. All of their idols have lush heads of like pompadour type hairstyles and youthful features. So they don't know what to do with this information.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'll tell you, in my first introduction actually to Asian hair, I hate to say this, I hope this doesn't sound ignorant, was the old time Kung Fu movies. And I remember there was always one character in every one of these movies who was older. And he always had such a long flowing head of hair.
Yes, the long ponytail.
Yeah, with
the Shaw Brothers.
whatever. And And of course, it was a young guy that was playing an old guy. What did I know when I was 8, you know?
Right.
And I used to say, wow, he's kept all his hair and look at that beautiful hair. But you know, okay, so it was a movie and it was makeup. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of Asian men that I saw all over the place that had that great head of hair. And as they aged, it really looked cool. I mean, a lot cooler than mine.
I mean, it was gray or white, but it was there.
But it was there, and it was a powerful mane of hair, a very
very good hairline and stuff. Yeah.
And my first exposure was the martial arts movies, but later on, and then I saw these, and I was saying, God, I wish I had hair like that.
Yeah. Well, all these articles are going to be available on Urban Health Weekly. I was
link to the Shaw. Let's give them a link to the Shaw Brothers too.
Oh, I don't know about the Shaw Brothers link. I'm not going to go dig for that. But yeah, anybody who's ever watched Kung Fu movies knows the awesomeness of the Shaw Brothers productions. By the way, do you know one of the stars that appeared in a lot of those movies, like the Monkey Paw and all that other stuff? He actually went on to star in. He was Uma Thurman's trainer in what was that movie that Quentin Tarantino did? Kill Bill. He was the one who Daryl Hannah killed with the fish head. She poisoned the fish head and killed him. Master Wu, I think his name was, or something. Anyway, yeah, I was like, why does he look familiar? He looks so familiar. He was from the Shaw. He did a lot of those Kung Fu movies. Anyway, one last thing. Bruce Willis was diagnosed with aphasia. Willis, the prolific action movie star, had recently been diagnosed with aphasia, a disorder that affects the brain's language center and a person's ability to understand or express speech, according to his ex-wife Demi Moore's post on Instagram. So what is aphasia? Aphasia just means that someone has a problem with language that they weren't born with. That's explained by Hugo Botha, a neurologist at Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. The most common cause is stroke or head injury, and experts stress that while it can affect the production and comprehension of both speech and written words, it normally doesn't impact intelligence. It affects some 2 million Americans, according to the National Aphasia Association, making it more common than Parkinson's disease, cerebral palsy, or muscular dystrophy. A 2016 survey carried out by the same group found that fewer than 9% of people knew what it was. While it's normally caused by specific one-time events such as a stroke, there are other possibilities such as from neurodegenerative disease, explained Brenda Rapp, a cognition scientist at Johns Hopkins University. In such cases, the damage is progressive and therapy focuses on preventing further loss of function. Thoughts?
I have. I'll start. Here.
I'm going to save my cynical thought.
Just cynical thought. Well, it comes from a conversation that I had the night I found out about it. And a friend of mine, I was in the martial arts world for about 20 to 25 years. And a friend of mine from that world called me and said, "Did you hear about Bruce Willis?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you think that us getting dropped on our heads all the time when we were doing judo is going to give us that condition?"
Do you think he was doing martial arts, or do you think it was all the stunts he did?
This is
from all the
my
movies.
Friend, and I told my friend, "You ought to know better." He's saying, "Well, because he was like doing Die Hard and he was in that building, he's always getting dropped, I'm sure. And then he goes on this asteroid, and I'm sure he got dropped there. And then he was on an oil rig that kept blowing up.
Oh my God. Okay.
And all of this. And I'm saying, well, I don't really think he really was in an asteroid.
But how many of his own stunts did he do? It's possible he did a lot of his own stunts, right?
But, it is very possible. You start wondering about, conditions like this and what, they found in the NFL that, repeated head blows. And things
or CTE, any of those, any kind of head injury.
Thank you. I had forgotten the term, and that gives you CTE. And I'm wondering if all his stunts after a while kind of caught up with him, because he was
doing a lot of action. Yeah,
he was like one of the top 3 action figures of his time.
Yeah.
And when you talk about action,
it was him, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, but he always took the beating.
Yeah,
Schwarzenegger and Stallone were always these brutes, or portrayed as these brutes, and usually did the pounding. But this guy, he was like the everyday man who got blown up a lot, and then at the end prevailed. And I'm just wondering, was there a lot of damage that he incurred on set? I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there to
Well,
do that.
they never revealed what may have led to his
Well, they don't
aphasia.
know. They don't know. But I'm just wondering, is there a correlation between his very active film
Maybe.
career?
If they are, they're certainly not gonna talk about it because they don't want to scare Hollywood insurance from covering action movies.
Oh.
Yeah, because he never did a movie that was peaceful. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that was his genre. Yeah.
Yeah, even later on in sci-fi, he would get blown up or something bad would happen.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is Martin Scorsese couldn't have directed this better. I know this sounds terribly cynical. I know it sounds bad. However, one minute we're talking about Will Smith being a bad guy, and then the very next minute, let's pivot. And Bruce Willis is revealing that he has aphasia. I mean, come on, no takers here?
And a whole
No
list of other actors and actors.
What, you feel like maybe cumulative head injury? Is that what you're saying? Or brain
No,
damage?
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they're trying to steer us away from Will Smith being a bad actor. They're trying to take the heat off of him with press on feeling sorry for.
Oh, okay. All right. They're trying to drum up a new news story.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the pivot. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it sounds terrible, but that's what I think.
Well, conspiracy theories abound. You know?
Listen, I know it sounds bad, but the timing is highly suspect to me.
Well,
to me.
What is?
Yeah, I don't find that timing suspect. I just think it's like how it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that he doesn't have the condition.
Oh, you're saying for bringing it up to
I'm saying that it comes up now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I got a silver.
Now's a good time to release this story. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Silver lining.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you my silver lining. My silver lining is that with what we've seen over the last few days there, these are conditions that certainly need to be brought to light. Some are more serious than others, but they're all serious. If you have,
well, that aphasia is career ending.
Well, aphasia is life changing.
If you're an actor, you're not.
Are all life changing. Because there's a lot of people too that have had oops moments where they lose it, and all of a sudden they find themselves nowhere. I once had a very high-placed boss that all of a sudden went postal. He didn't hit anybody, but told the chairman of the company what he thought of him.
Listen, don't be having no postal workers contacting us.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about, don't use the word postal, it's offensive.
It's an expression, but we all
know. I know.
But anyway, he lost it, told the chairman of the company exactly what he thought of him, and as he was driving home, he was fired. And next day I saw him as he's packing his desk, and I go to him, what happened? And he goes to me, I had a brain fart. He goes, I don't know what overcame him. He just had that need to whatever was inside of him to come out, and really all he had to do was impulse control, and this cost the family a lot of money. And he said it wasn't worth it, because later on I asked him, was it worth it? He goes, absolutely not. It was absolutely not worth it to do.
So you don't think it was a case of like disinhibition or his brain changing or anything? It was just like he just didn't restrain himself that moment.
No. I think that if you were to say, do you want to take it back? A few days later, they would not. He'd say, yes, I would want to take it back.
Right.
I think that the hair loss condition and dialogue is very important because, and the fact that women, men may not realize how much this affects women. I think that's very important. And I think the whole.
Oh yeah.
The whole, and again, it goes into Alzheimer's and all these mental conditions that as you get older, you become much more susceptible to. This brings to light another set of symptoms that didn't know. All of these diseases combined couldn't have gotten the publicity they got if it weren't for these individuals. This was $1 billion of publicity for healthcare, for people to know more about a condition, to understand the condition, try to prevent these conditions, or at least live with these conditions. So there was some disease awareness created.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can have some now, dialogue as to how to cure this, how to treat this, what do you do about it? in all three instances. So I think that some awareness is always good in healthcare.
I think especially that being that the hair loss is autoimmune, I think there definitely needs to be more research, and there needs to be more focus on autoimmune in general. I think because it's so non-specific and you can't just take a pill for it. Although I did read an article where they're using an arthritis medication and they're finding that, I just can't remember the medication, but they're using an arthritis medication and they found that in the patients, their hair completely grew back.
Ooh.
Yeah, I gotta look that up again. But I saw that
was blood pressure medication. I think,
that ended up being yeah.
That so one of the most
But
effective things.
but the way it works is it suppresses the immune system. I mean, is that the route that we want to go? It's like, do you want to have a what they found was
it suppresses the immune system in your scalp. I mean,
no, it suppresses your immune system, period, because it's a arthritis medication.
So this one.
Yeah, the arthritis the arthritis medication that they use, they found that it grew back the subject's hair, and so it does take out your immune system completely.
All right.
But do you want to have a full head of hair and not have achy joints, or do you want to have your immune system? I think for a lot of people, they don't mind that side effect, except that we should think about it in terms of COVID. That
well, in terms of anything really.
Yeah,
right.
Not having your immune system is not a great thing. But I think people think about the immediate stuff like, well, my joints ache and I've got bald patches. I'll take a non-functioning immune system over these, immediate things. But there's probably a happy medium somewhere in between. I don't know. Thanks for listening to Urban Health Weekly today. I hope you'll join me and my friends next week so you can stay informed and inspired to take control of your health. See you next time.